Welcome everyone to another session of TriTech University. My name is Bill Steppen, and today we're going to take a closer look at a particular part of the customer module that revolves around memberships. So if your store offers membership sales to your customers that offer certain types of benefits that you want to make sure are exclusive to these members, stick around because we're going to talk about how all that works, how it works in MSI, how it gets set up, how to make use of it, all that fun stuff. We're also going to take a look at a few elements that might revolve around the enhanced customer experience. We're going to take a look at what are known as value packs. We're going to define what those are, how they get set up, they get used, how you can check on all of that stuff, and then we'll take a look at just a few basic reports so that you can keep on top of all of these functions. As always, just a few house rules to get started. We are using GoToWebinar. On your GoToWebinar toolbar, there's going to be a questions box. So if at any point throughout today's session you have a question on the content, feel free to type your question into that box, and I'll be periodically checking over here just to make sure I stay on top of those questions. I'll do my best to answer them as I see them come in. We should have plenty of time at the end for a full Q&A if necessary. But if that GoToWebinar toolbar is taking up too much screen real estate, if you're not able to see my screen, there is a little red box with a white arrow on it. You can click on that, and that will compress that toolbar off to the side. So you can click on that again to reopen it back up and gain access to the questions box. Click it back down again to shrink it down. And yeah, so with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Now you should be seeing my MSI screen here. I've got this set up for a golf store today. If you're not a golf store, just pay attention to the content, or rather the context rather than the content, if that makes sense. So again, customer memberships, what are they? So a customer membership completely outside of MSI, hopefully fairly self-explanatory, but if not, it's basically something that a customer can purchase typically that usually has an expiration date associated with it. So they might purchase a yearly contract or an annual membership, maybe a 6-month membership, a semesterly, quarterly, monthly, whatever it might be. It has a cost associated with it that the customer is paying. That basically is your straight revenue. It may or may not be taxable depending on your local state laws and stuff like that. But then by purchasing that, there's usually certain benefits that go into that. Maybe there's reduced rates on certain services that you offer. Maybe it allows for certain discounts to take advantage of at point of sale. So we're going to take a look at all of these. Now, you'll notice that underneath your maintenance menu in customers is your membership setup specifically. But before we even get to that, we need to establish a few non-inventory categories to get us started. So before we even go here, we're going to go to maintenance and ledger, and then we're going to take a look at non-inventory categories. Now at the non-inventory category level, I have a membership non-inventory category established. This is basically controlling all the particulars of my membership sales. Now, again, whether or not it's taxable, you can set that up here for the tax code, whether or not you're going to allow discounts on the membership purchases themselves and so forth. The category number basically just needs to be unique. If you've been looking into our non-inventory categories for any length, this is probably old hat for you. The main thing is that we have a particular category that we can then put certain membership levels underneath as subcategories. So let's take a look at that. To maintenance, ledger, and non-inventory subcategories. So here at the subcategory level, I have just a handful of membership types set up. You can see I've got a family membership here. Basically, we've got this set up as a $900 price point. The single membership is set up as $400. The student membership is $375, and then we've got a senior also at $375. So now basically what we're doing here at the subcategory level is just kind of defining what the different membership types are and their price point. Now, whether or not these certain membership types inherit certain perks is, well, of course, that's up to you. But we'll take a look at now at how we actually tell AMSI that these are membership sales. So to do that, we'll remember these four, and we're going to go back to maintenance and customer, where I was alluding before, and we're going to take a look at memberships. So here in the membership setup, this is where we can go in, and I've got these already added just to kind of have them ready to go. But basically the concept here is that by putting in those non-inventory categories and subcategories into this table and specifically defining them as membership sale, this is the important part here. Let me grab my highlighter. So specifically membership sale for each category and subcategory that I established on those previous tables. So you can see here, category membership, subcategory family, type is membership sale. That's the important part here. So if we take a look at all these other entries that I've got for single membership, student, and senior, these are all defined as membership sale. Now the way that that basically works then is when you go and you sell specifically that non-inventory category and subcategory at point of sale, AMSI would now know that you are selling a membership, and that membership is going to have an active date range associated with it. Now you can either predefine the date range here by putting in a begin date and an end date, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave this blank, and basically we'll then be able to define it at the time of point of sale. Now, if you're setting up your memberships on an annual basis and basically the customer can purchase into it at any time throughout the year, then you may come in and you may establish a begin and end date with that. And if you do so, you may want to check mark this little box that says do not pop up the date confirmation window. We'll see what that looks like in just a moment. Now, furthermore, what you'll also define on this table are any categories that you want to exclude from normal sales. You want to make sure that a customer has an active membership in order to purchase whatever it is that you've added to this table as a membership usage. Now, I've got a couple examples here in my table as well, just to kind of get us started again, get the examples out there so that you can start to think about this in your own perspective. But I've just got two here for members that have purchased as members into this golf course, this example golf course. If they've purchased a membership, basically we're implying that they have free golf whenever they would like. So just to get an idea of that, again, we'll probably talk a little bit more about this actually on Thursday, in Thursday's webinar when we talk about the T-scheduler. But just as kind of a little sneak preview to that, here on the categories and subcategories of non-inventory, I have a number of green fees established. Now, if you're familiar with golfing at all, great. If not, not a big deal. But basically to purchase a round of golf, you're going to pay green fees. And normally you would have different types of fees, maybe for different times of the week or day or anything like that. But the important part here is that you'll notice if I take a look through some of these, if I get down to the two listings here that are member 9 and member 18, so either 9 holes or 18 holes, you'll notice that the price on these is $0. Now, we don't want any old employee to just allow their friends and family to golf on basically members' expenses when they're not actually members. So what we can do is we can lock that down by specifically saying that to golf or to sell this member 18 or this member 9, they are considered membership usage. And we'll take a look at that as an example here through point of sale. But that's the basic gist of it. Now that we've added those two entries to this table as membership usage specifically, it's not going to let anyone who doesn't have an active membership purchase that, even though it's $0, purchase that, that usage, you could say. So let's see what this looks like now at point of sale. We'll just go ahead and we'll hop into a point of sale session here. Let me go ahead and kind of reorganize my screen. I'm just going to pull up our good old guinea pig, Mike Anderson here. So we're going to pull this down just to keep the screen as big as possible here. Now in point of sale, first and foremost, we can see if they have a membership by looking at your table that you would normally have pop up here by default. Let me grab my highlighter. Notice how right now this is all empty. So there's nothing outstanding or active on this customer. When we go to sell them a membership, so let's just go ahead and do that now. Actually, I'm not sure if I have a button here for membership purchases. Let's just check on that. I should have probably checked that before we got to this far. Let me go ahead. I'm just going to hop over to the Classic tab, and we'll just sell this over here. So we'll go to the category of members. He's going to purchase a single membership. So we'll go ahead and we'll select that. You'll see how that basically pulls that in for the $400. And now because it recognizes that as a membership, it's going to ask us what is the active date range for this new membership that the customer is purchasing. So we would go ahead and we would select our dates of begin and end. I'll just go ahead and do that really quick here. So basically I put in a 1-year membership. So August 6th of this year through August 6th of next year. We'll go ahead and we'll tender that. We'll take the payment. This part hopefully is fairly self-explanatory. So we'll just see here in a moment that when we finalize and then go back into point of sale, we'll pull this customer back up now. So back into point of sale and Mr. Anderson. That now down here, you're going to see, let me grab my highlighter once more. You see how there's this line item here now that indicates that the customer has a membership. So specifically it says that it's a single membership expiring 8/6 of 2020. Now, the way that this would now work is, let's say that the customer wants to go golfing. So back in the sell other, and we can go ahead and we can click on member 9 or 18. Let's say he wants to do 18 holes of golf. It's going to confirm the $0 price point there, and it's going to let us go ahead and sell that with no problems whatsoever. What's the big deal, Bill? That's nothing out of the ordinary. Well, let me show you what now happens if we go into someone else's accounts. We'll pull up the other guinea pig that I like to pick on, Mr. or Mrs. Pepperoni. I haven't determined whether or not it's a he or a she yet. But now if we go in to this customer who does not have an active membership, notice how this is all empty down here. We'll go back to sell other. We'll go to sell either member 9 or 18. And you'll notice that it comes up and says this customer has no memberships. So it's not going to allow this customer to purchase anything that we've established as member usage. And that's the basic gist behind memberships. You can then go in and you can basically disallow certain types of sales activity to forbid the ability for someone to just kind of cheat the system, as it were. Now, if you have certain memberships that allow for some types of purchases but not others, maybe you have certain tiers of membership, maybe you have like a bronze membership, silver, a gold, platinum, whatever it might be. If it's more of that type of structure and you want to kind of indicate that they need to purchase a certain tier in order to get a certain level of exclusivity, so to say, maybe you have at your on your non-inventory categories, maybe you have, instead of it simply being green fees for, let me pull that back up. Maybe instead of it simply being member 9, member 18, maybe you have basic member, which is at a discounted rate, but not a free rate. Maybe you then have a premium member that is at a free rate, and you want to establish one versus the other. Back on the customer setup here for customer memberships, you'll notice that down here, below the settings here of whether it's a membership usage or membership sale, when you're setting up a membership usage, you'll notice this section here that states this customer usage requires the customer to have this membership type. So as opposed to it simply being family, single, student, or senior, if you've got, like I alluded to earlier, bronze, gold, platinum, whatever, you could say that in order for this to be the premium member 9, that's the free rate, it would need to be specifically the we'll pretend that the senior is the platinum. So in order for them to golf on the quote premium member 9, they would need to have the premium membership or the platinum membership. So basically it's going to check to make sure that they have that. Now, if you do have, let's say both gold and platinum would allow the premium membership, you simply would just add it twice. You would say that the member or premium member 9 membership usage, you add it twice, once for the gold membership and then again for the platinum membership. That's kind of basically how that would work. Let me know if there's any questions behind that, but that's the basic gist of setting up exclusivity for your members. Now, another function that you might take advantage of for your members is offering them certain types of discounts. So now the way that you would go about doing that is back at our customer defaults. So again, back to customer defaults. If this is not making sense, we do have a webinar on basic customer setup you might want to check out. But here at the customer defaults, what you can do is you can establish any number of member type defaults. So I've got one real basic setup here. Nothing too fancy, but the important thing here about my member customer default is that over on the discounts tab, I've specifically stated that members would get 10% off of any golf club purchases. So that's basically the concept behind that. I also have a few other settings over here that they have a credit limit of $1,000 and they have 30 days of terms, and they are a charge customer type, but you could set up whatever you need as far as like the default itself. Now, when you're setting up a new customer, if they're purchasing a membership outright, so let's say you're going into add customers, and basically if you know that they're going to purchase a customer membership right away, feel free to make their customer type be the member type right from the get-go. And then basically going forward, they would then have the perks going along with the discounts that you've set up for that customer membership default. But let's presume that it's an existing customer, like our good old buddy Mike Anderson, that now has purchased a membership. They already have the ability to golf for free based on what we set up there in the membership usage for the member 9 and the member 18. But we want to make sure he gets the 10% off of the golf clubs too. How can we do that? Well, we'll go into change customer. We'll pull up Mr. Anderson. I never get tired of saying that. And we'll go ahead and we'll make him be a member customer type. Now, just switching that member customer type technically doesn't grant them access to the discounts, because technically, if you'll notice over here on the discounts tab, the discounts can be tweaked on a customer by customer basis, so it doesn't immediately lock them into the defaults from the customer default. What you would just want to make sure that you do, if this is the case, you want to go ahead and get them those perks, is after you've switched their customer default type, you would then go into modules and customers. You go to the utilities menu where there is a utility called update customer default. We will go ahead and in our case, we'll pick the members option. We're going to check mark that we want to basically update the customers who are considered members. We want them to get the discounts associated with the customer default. We'll go ahead and proceed with that. And now that we've done that, you'll notice if we go back and look at Mike's account, we'll go to the discounts tab, which you'll notice now, or hopefully notice, sometimes it's a little small. Let me just grab my highlighter here again. But you may notice that this is kind of emboldened versus the other tabs here that are not, like dependents or shipping. Let me go ahead and erase those highlights just to make that be a little bit more apparent there. But now on the discounts tab, he now does have that 10% discount on the golf clubs. So basically by setting them up and using a customer default to go along with that, then at point of sale, regardless who's running the cash register, they don't have to worry about going in and manually keying in any potential discounts that might go along with that. Tom is asking, are discounts still applied when the same category, subcategory is also on sale, allowing them to double dip? Good question, Tom. The answer for that is actually AIM-SI has always only used whichever discount is the better of the two. So to answer your question, let's give the hypothetical. Let's say that you have golf clubs on sale for 15% off. Maybe you've got a memorial clearance or something like that going on. If the member already gets 10% off, then technically what would happen is the member would just get the 15% off, not an additional 10 off of the 15. Hopefully that makes sense. Basically, it's just whichever one they get the better discount on. Maybe it's the other way around. Maybe it's the members get 15% off and you've got a sale going on for 10%. The member would still get the 15%. It just wouldn't have a 10% off before that they're then taking 15% off of on top of that. They would simply just get their normal basic 15% off on the golf clubs in this example. So yeah, excellent question. Any more? Definitely let me know. I'll keep on checking to see as they're coming in. But yeah, that's the basic idea behind some automatic discounts for your members. Now, this would be for any kind of membership purchase where the expiration date is going to be based on when they purchase that membership. You go in and you establish specifically the begin date and the end date. Now, if you have the long-term contract module, what you can also do as far as your membership sales are concerned is you can put those subcategories, those non-inventory subcategories, onto what we would refer to as a rent-to-rent contract, a long-term contract. The idea behind that is basically instead of it having a set activation period where it starts on a certain day and ends on a certain day, basically the membership is active for as long as they keep paying into this contract. You can think of it as kind of like a gym style membership where they just basically have it until they stop paying. The way that you would set that up is with your contract defaults in your long-term contract module. You just want to make sure that you've got some kind of rent-to-rent contract established. If you need more details on this, again, I did do a webinar on long-term contracts. You'd be looking specifically at the Module Mechanics Long-Term Contracts Part 1. Definitely check that out if this is of an interest for you. But basically, you'd set this up as a rent-to-rent. And then, if you would like, you could also set up, just to make things a little bit easier at point of sale, you can set up any number of contract templates. A template basically lets you set it up so that it'll automatically put in some figures for you based on what's going on to the contract and what type of contract it is. So in my example here, I've just got one set up for demonstration and example purposes. I've got this set up basically as a single membership contract template, where as long as the contract that's being activated is a rent-to-rent and the item going on to the contract is membership category single subcategory, then it's automatically going to put in that the monthly rate is $25 down, $25 going forward each month, and that's basically just going to establish that. So then back to point of sale, let's say Pepperoni is tired of getting left out in the cold and they want to purchase this this monthly contract. We can go in and go into the contract menu, basically just have some kind of button set up for this. We'll do a new rent to rent, and we will, in the category drop down, choose membership. We'll hit tab and select single, and that'll automatically pull in this price point. Now the price point there is primarily for reference purposes. It's not going to have any real impact on the contract itself, but by dropping that down and then going to the details tab, it will now recognize, hey, there is an open template that fits into, or that this contract is fitting into, let's go ahead and select that. It's automatically going to put in my $25 down, $25 monthly. And when I save that, notice how it didn't pop up for any kind of date establishment as far as begin date and end date. We're just going to go ahead and tender that. We'll just say it was paid with cash. We will finalize and we will post. Now again, hopefully that me not printing out the receipt is too big of a deal. It's basically your bog standard receipt there at that point. But we'll go ahead and pull up Pepperoni now, and we will see that there is this rent-to-rent contract now that allows me to go in and basically sell them these member classified sales that we specifically said were membership usage. You may recall that when I tried this before, it came up and said the customer has no memberships. That's basically how that would work. So because this is specifically now tied to the contract there, this rent-to-rent contract, basically their membership is good through the next payment. So in this case, it's good through 9/6, and then at that time, a payment would be due. If they go ahead and pay the $25 at that point, it would then extend 1 month out, and then the membership would be good through 10/6, and so on and so forth, all the way until you go in and basically do a return on the contract. And then at that point, the membership would no longer be active. Yvonne is asking, can you combine discounts? We have member and senior discounts that are combined. And then where can I access all the webinars and the replay of this one, please? As far as that second question there, Yvonne, about an hour after this one commences, you'll be getting an automatic email. It'll have both a link to this recording as well as a web link to all the other recordings. Definitely check that out. As far as combining discounts, I will probably have to research that a little bit more. Most stores that I've worked with usually don't combine those types of discounts. I believe there is a way to go in and kind of tweak it so that you can do that, but it's in certain circumstances. So let me get back to you on that one, Yvonne, and I'll see what I can find out for you. But the usual context is it's only going to honor whichever one is the greater of the two memberships. You could certainly technically do the math manually. You could go in and let's say if it's 10% off of, just to keep the math simple, $1,000, so normally $100 off, you could do 15% off of the now 900, basically whip out the calculator and do that stuff. But again, it's usually just going to honor whatever is the better of the two. So hopefully that makes sense there. If not, just let me know. So we've talked about how to sell memberships. We've talked about how to keep track of memberships. Well, actually, we hadn't really talked about that. I'm going to show you a specific report that comes to checking in to see who may be coming up for membership renewal. So in your customer reports, there is specifically a report called Customer Membership Expiration. You could basically run this for whenever date range you want to see whose customer memberships are about to expire within that range. Basically what it would do is it would pop up and show you these customers that are going to have that expire. So just to give the example here, let's go ahead and do 8/1 of 2020. Let's just go ahead and knock that down a few days through 8/31 of 2020. And we'll go ahead and run that report. And we'll just print that to the screen. So because we know that Mike Anderson is going to be having that membership expire there, and it might be a little bit small, but hopefully you can see there. Basically, it's going to show the account number, the name, the membership that they have, and their exact expiration date of that. So it's just a quick way of finding out who's going to have their memberships expire so that potentially you could reach out to them and contact them. Now, technically, you could also, by use of the mailing letters report, maybe you want to automatically send them a letter or some other kind of contact to check out or reach out with them to see if they're looking to renew. with our mailing letters report, this isn't specifically for memberships, but it is a pretty powerful report. Those of you who have been with us for a number of years have probably heard me talk a lot about this report because it has a lot of different uses. But let's say, for example, we're going to send a letter that we had written up. Now, I didn't kind of plan for this, but we could have potentially then a letter template, maybe for membership renewal. We'll pretend that this adverse action is a membership renewal letter, and it's going to be specifically for customers. And if we go then to the customer tab, we could run this basically for an expiration date here. If I remember correctly, it is in here somewhere for active memberships, basically. So by check marking that and then going in, and I don't remember where the expiration date range is, but I believe it's in there somewhere. But basically the concept then is that by running this for those, basically those selections, they would get this letter either printed and mailed to them, or by check marking enable email, it would email them to those customers. If you wanted to only email it, you could also then technically say up here for only accounts with email correspondence, and then it would only be emailing them. If you say it's all accounts, then if you have enable email checked, you've got email modules activated in your system and all set up and ready to go. Anyone who has an email address on file and specifically hasn't said, don't send me emails, which is a setting on their account, they would get that letter emailed to them. Everyone else, it would actually print out a physical copy for you to mail to them. So that's kind of the idea with the mailing letters. But if you're just looking for a basic report just to check in on everyone who has that membership and maybe it's going to expire, the membership expiration report is going to be your go-to report. So as I mentioned, there's a few other things that I think kind of fall into this caliber of webinar here. So I did want to talk about value packs, as well as another function kind of directly relating to memberships, which is minimum purchase amounts. Now, value packs are not technically contingent on memberships, but they can kind of go hand in hand. The idea behind a value pack is a concept where a customer is pre-purchasing a number of uses or punches. If you've ever gone to maybe a local car wash and you purchase a coupon book, that basically equates to get 10 washes for the price of 9. And the coupon book costs a certain amount, and then basically they come in and they tear out a coupon, they hand it to the person at the start of the line, and they get their wash for free, or whatever the equivalent value is of that wash. That's the idea behind value packs. So basically the way those get set up, again, they're going to be some non-inventory categories. So we start off with the non-inventory categories. We'll go to non-inventory categories. I'm going to go straight to the subcategories this time, because what we basically got here, if I scroll down on this listing here, I forget exactly where it is. There it is. In the green fees. So underneath the green fees category, I have a subcategory called 12 round green fee value pack. So basically it's for $250. So basically by purchasing this quote coupon book or this value pack, they're going to get 12 rounds of golf for whatever that equivalent price is. So let's just look at, let's say, for example, weekend 18, we can see is $40. If you're honoring this value pack for weekend 18 rounds of golf, we can see that's a pretty significant value there. Now, the price point is tied to the value pack purchase. The redemption has $0 associated with it. You can see how we now also got a subcategory in here called Redeem Value Pack, and we can see that set up as $0. To tell it that these two subcategory combos are specifically value packs, we're going to go back to maintenance and customers to the value pack option. So here in value packs, I've just got this basically set up where the value pack category is green fees. The value pack subcategory is 12 round green fee value pack. Notice how it's not looking for any dollar value here. What it is looking for is what that value package contains as far as punches or coupons, quantity. Then the redeeming category, we've got set up as green fees, and then the subcategory is redeem value pack. And I've also got an expiration on here that is good for basically 360 days from the time of purchase. So the way this then works is for every time a customer purchases a value pack, let's go ahead and pull up good old Mike Anderson here, and he's going to purchase a value pack. So we'll go to the Sell Other, and we'll click on the 12-round green fee value pack for $250. So that'll go ahead, get added to his cart. We'll tender that, and we'll just say it's, again, paid by cash. We're not going to worry about those little details here within the webinar. But now the way this will then work is going forward, we'll go ahead and pull his account back up, and underneath his customer history, you have the ability to view value packs. So when you pull up that drop down, just hit the V. That should take you right to the first V, which is value packs. When you click go, this will show you all of the value packs that customer has purchased. Notice that there's a quantity here, as well as a used and a left. So right now, basically, customer has purchased a value pack. He's got 12 uses of this pack. Now, every time he wants to use that pack, back in point of sale, we'll go back to the Sell Other. We will click on the button for Redeem Value Pack. Again, it's $0. We'll go ahead and finalize that. No money is due because he's already purchased the coupon book, if you will. We'll just go ahead and, again, we don't need to worry about the particulars there as far as the receipts. Now we go back and pull up their account, and we'll go ahead and pull up their history, and we'll look at the value pack history. Not only will we see that they've used one and there's 11 remaining, but you'll also notice down below, the table down below is going to basically show you each time they have redeemed from that pack. So in this case, the sold reference transaction was 10/12. It was on 8/6. The description was basically redeem value pack. They used one. They've used one so far, and they still have 11 left. So basically, not only will you see on the value pack above, but then also on the individuals down below. That's basically how that would work. So that's kind of the concept of value packs. Now, apart from that, there's no real reporting as far as like outstanding value packs or anything like that. It's basically just kind of tied directly to the customer's history. So you don't have to worry about the customer losing a value pack like they might lose a car wash coupon book. Now, what will happen is ultimately when the customer purchases all of their redemptions. So let's go ahead, and I'll just to make this fast, let's go ahead and do a quantity of 11 for the green fees, and we'll do the redeem. He's going to redeem 11 entries of his value pack, so we'll finalize that. And why not? Let's just print that up to the screen just so you can kind of see that. So you can see actually on the coupon, or on the receipt rather, for what it's worth, it will actually make a mention there of how many they have left in their value pack at that time. And you can see it's letting us know, hey, there's none left on that value pack. So now the next time they come in, we'll go back to point of sale, we'll pull up their account, and the next time they try and use that value pack, what you're going to see is it's going to come up and say they have 0 quantity left on that pack, and they can't continue. So they would have to purchase another value pack, or just purchase whatever the equivalent one-time usage is that would go along with that. So that's the idea behind value packs. Now, the last function that I do want to talk about today, it's kind of, I haven't honestly seen this in too much usage, but we did have a few requests for it. So of course we went ahead and put this in, and it's kind of the concept of minimum purchases. So if your membership implies that they're going to purchase a certain amount within a certain time period, let's say you are a golf course and they need to, purchasing of that membership implies that they also purchase at least X number of dollars in your bar and grill or your restaurant, or a certain amount in the pro shop, or just anything that you want to establish with that, you can go into the customer maintenance area and you can, underneath the minimum purchase amounts, essentially establish this. Now, this is technically tied to the customer default. So technically, it's not specifically a membership function, but I have kind of seen this used in conjunction with memberships. But basically, at the customer default level, you would say, in this case, I've got it tied to members, and I've got the minimum purchase amount is $200. And this whole idea behind category to charge is if they don't meet this minimum amount within whatever date range I put in, whatever the difference is between the two would get essentially charged to the non-inventory category of choice. In this case, I've just got it going to my minimum or miscellaneous income adjustment category. As far as which categories it's going to look to see where the purchases are coming from, that's the check boxes up above. So in this case, I'm basically saying that anyone who is the customer default of member, they need to purchase at least $200 from any combination of these categories. So alcohol, cart rental, cart storage, and food and beverage. If there were any others, I'd have them check marked there. But basically, you establish that there. Then at the end of the time period, let's say it's every quarter or every year, whatever it might be, to see who needs to be charged the difference to make up that minimum purchase, you can then go to the modules and customer menu, where you will find a post minimum purchase invoices program. You put in whatever the date range is. So let's just say it's 1/1 of the year. So let's do that again, 1/1 through 12/31. And we'll hit refresh on that. Then basically anyone who is a member, so to speak, or basically just anyone who's affiliated with that customer default, they would then show up on here. They would show the amount that they have purchased between that date range, and then whatever the difference is that would potentially need to be charged is going to show up in the difference column. So in this case, my customer hasn't purchased any amounts from any of those 4 categories: alcohol, cart rental or storage, or the food and beverage. And so they would get charged the full $200 there. By clicking the create invoices button, then that would go ahead and create essentially a charge invoice on the customer's account. So now when we go back into point of sale and pull up their account, we're not only going to see the membership on there, but we'll also see the charge sale for $200. And then to take a payment against that, we would go into our miscellaneous programs for the open account payment, and then we could take a payment against that in here. And again, if you need more details on these functions, I did talk about these in point of sale, the point of sale webinars that I did, just covering kind of these basic functions within point of sale. So that's kind of the idea there. And that's basically it as far as today's session on memberships and those types of functions, so memberships and value packs. Now, on this Thursday, which is August 8th, I am going to be diving deeper into the T-Scheduler function. Now, this is different from the lesson scheduler. So if there were any outstanding questions on what the difference might be, the lesson scheduler is kind of specific for lessons that you might sell that have an instructor, and you need to put them onto a calendar. That may be a recurring lesson, or it may be one time, but the instructor may or may not get a portion of that in instructor fees. There's a lot more going on really with the lesson scheduler module versus the T-Scheduler. The T-Scheduler, which is short for time scheduler, is specifically just kind of a time sheet, if you will, where you can say that a customer has reserved a certain time slot on that time sheet. and that may or may not have a charge that goes along with it that you can then establish at the time of them checking in. So we're going to get on to all of the details on that on this Thursday. And then I do have, there is one more week that we'll have some type of webinar on August the 20th. So that'll be Tuesday, 2 weeks from now. I haven't finalized specifically what that webinar will be, but I'm thinking it's going to be on barcode labeling and hang tags. And then on Thursday, August 22nd, we'll probably be doing continuing our Facebook Live series. And again, I haven't nailed down the topic on that, but stay tuned to your email inbox, to our social media feeds on Facebook and Twitter. We'll be talking about all of these releases as we finalize them. So we'll stay alive here for a few minutes just to see if any other questions come in. But again, thank you so much for your attendance, for your interactivity. We're here to help you out with your software investments. We want to make sure that you're succeeding with our solutions. So if there's anything that we can do for you, let us know. If there's any webinar topics that we haven't talked about yet, that aren't in our webinar archive, we've done a bunch on module mechanics, going into the basics of each module. We've done a whole series on inventory in depth and accounting in depth, what we call our Astonishing Accounting series. We've done a number of Getting to Know version 12 webinars. So those of you who are coming over from prior versions and wanting to see what's new with version 12, did a number of those. So if you go through that list and you haven't seen anything that specifically would be of an interest for you, let me know. Shoot me an email to that email that you got when you registered. It's that training@technologyforretailers.com email that goes right to my inbox, and just let me know what we can do to help you out, and we'll see what we can do to make that happen there for you. Yvonne does have a question. Could I set up in membership groups those two discounts because they are not a percentage amount, but a flat dollar amount? A flat dollar amount. In the discount tab, it is specifically a particular discount percentage on certain categories of purchases. Yvonne, what I'm thinking you may want to look into are the different price points that you can establish on inventory. So in addition to the hour price point on every inventory item, you have what are called prices A, B, and C, as well as minimum prices. So what you could do is you could tie a certain price point to a certain customer default. So you could say that the customer is going to automatically get price B, let's say. And then whatever you put into price B, that would be the price that they would get. So hopefully that makes sense. If not, let me know. Yeah, happy to help out any way that I can. And if we get off the call here and you think of a question, again, shoot that to me in the training email. You can also call into our tech support line, even if it's just a basic question. We want to make sure you get those questions answered. So just reach out to us in any way that makes sense. If it's after hours, we do have on our member portal area a place where you could submit questions any hours of the day. And if that question gets submitted, let's say at 2 o'clock in the morning, then whatever the next business morning it is, if that's that same day or if it's on a Monday after the weekend, our techs get those right into their inbox. So they'll see those questions that came in overnight and after hours, and we'll definitely get back to you as soon as we can. I'm not seeing any other questions coming in, and it looks like some folks are dropping out. So I think we'll go ahead and we'll call the session complete for today. Again, thanks so much for attending, and looking forward to helping you all out down the road. Again, my name's Bill Steppen, and have a great day.